Hello everyone, today I will be reviewing Gone with the Wind. So the film Gone with the Wind is based on a book by Margaret Mitchell and it stars Vivien Leigh, Clark Gable, Leslie Howard and Olivia de Havilland, and the story takes place in the American Civil War in the Deep South, Georgia to be precise. So most of the film actually focuses around Vivien Leigh's character, who is Scarlett O'Hara. And Scarlett O'Hara is in love with Ashley Wilkes, who is played by Leslie Howard. But Ashley Wilkes actually marries his cousin, who is Melanie, played by Olivia de Havilland. I think the acting in this film is absolutely phenomenal from everyone in it, from even the extras to the main cast. I think are all terrific. Clark Gable is absolutely fantastic as Rhett Butler. He really brings his character to life. Vivien Leigh is absolutely perfect as Scarlett. I mean, she's the perfect blend of beauty, but also being very annoying and not a very nice character altogether. And Olivia de Havilland is brilliant as the lovely Melanie. So everyone in the film really manages to shine here. So that's all very impressive. An excellent cast. We can't really imagine anybody else playing these characters. Now this film went on to become the highest grossing film of all time, so it did very well at the box office, and actually when adjusted for inflation it still is the highest grossing film of all time. So it's got a very good reputation. It won loads of Oscars. Vivien Leigh won the actor for Best Actress, and Hattie McDaniel, who plays Mammy, won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, and obviously the film won the most important award of all, the Best Picture Oscar, and this was actually the first colour film to win a Best Picture Oscar. Now, at the time, which was 1939, 1940, most motion pictures were in black and white. Now, this wasn't necessarily the first colour film, but it was during the time when most films were in black and white, so it was very impressive. They really went all out with the budget in this one. It has to be said, this is a long film, and when I say a long film, it's a very long film. It's 2 minutes shy of 4 hours, so if you're someone who doesn't particularly like long films, or you like films to be short and snappy, like it to be over with fairly quickly, and obviously you might not enjoy this, but you have to bear in mind the book this is based on is a very big book. Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell, if you've ever seen the size of the book, it is a very big book, so they actually did have to cut a few things out of it when making it into a film, even though the film is 4 hours long. And actually originally it was going to be 4.5 hours long, so I had to cut out some scenes from it anyway. Now, although this film is 4 hours long, when I watched it, it didn't really seem like it, to be honest, because I was always keen on seeing what happens next. And I think most of the pace is fairly well done. I don't really think it drags on too much. There is a lot happening in the film, and it has to be said, this film is very old at this point. It came out in 1939, 1940, and I think it's one of those films that has stood the test of time better than a lot of the films that came out around the same time. If you try and think of a lot of films that came out around that time, maybe a lot of them aren't as well remembered. I mean, I've got other films like The Wizard of Oz, which actually came out this same year, and ironically had the same director, Victor Fleming. But really, truth be told, it's for a very old film, it's still very famous, and if you look at a lot of the lists of the greatest films of all time now, it often still will be up there, unlike a lot of other films, although recently they do tend to favour the more recent films. Even though this film takes place during the American Civil War, the war is actually taking place in the background, as we don't see any battle scenes at all in this film. Now that's because the film is really not meant to be about the war itself, but it's meant to be about the way of life in the South and how the American Civil War ended that and brought it to an end, because it was gone with the wind, like the title says. One of the most famous scenes in this film is actually towards the end, when Rhett Butler, played by Clark Gable, says to Scarlett O'Hara, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." And actually that line is actually one of the most famous lines in Hollywood, and it was voted the #1 best movie quote on the American Film Institute's list. One of the best characters in this film has to be Mammy, played by Hattie McDaniel. Now, Mammy is really not the main character in the film, but she pretty much steals every scene she's in, because every scene she's in is very important, and she's always in control of the family in some way. When I say the family, I'm talking about the O'Hara family, really, because she is, well, her role's very important. She's always looking out for Scarlett O'Hara in some way or another, giving her advice, making sure she doesn't step out of line. And actually, Rhett Butler even said in one scene that Mammy is the only person whose respect he would want. I really enjoyed this film actually. It's not normally the type of film that I would want to watch because it probably is a bit more of a woman's film, if I'm honest, with the romance and the period drama element of it. But I think this is a film that everyone can appreciate. It really has stood the test of time very well, I believe, for a film that's, well, over 80 years old at this point when I'm recording it. And yeah, I'd recommend it to everyone. I think everybody can enjoy it. So because I like this film a lot, but I don't necessarily love it, I'm going to give it a rating of 9 out of 10. So Gone with the Wind. There we go. So what do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Let me know in the comments below. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.